Hey everyone, and welcome to another knit and chat. Today I am going to be working on my sock. I've got my tea here and I've got a few things that I'm really excited to talk to you about. Mostly I'm just happy to be back filming these sorts of videos, and I feel really at home in this kind of content, and so I'm happy that I finally got my head out of my own way so that I could sit down and film this today. And that's kind of what we're gonna be getting into, is some of that whole YouTuber stuff, influencer, authenticity, all of that stuff that kind of comes with showing up online, trying to be yourself, trying to navigate this online world. And I've got a lot of feelings about it, so that's what we're gonna talk about. Before we get into it, I will show you what I'm knitting. So I've got this little sock. I actually have its brother or sister over here. Definitely they're going to be siblings, not twins. It's Wise Hilda's Basic Rib Sock. I've made this sock before. I really like it. It's a 3x1 rib. I find it's nice and like comfy on my foot because it's really tight. I like my socks to be super tight, so I knit them a bit small, honestly. So I'm just working on its sibling, and I'm very proud of myself for not succumbing to the whole second sock syndrome. Like we are at it. I casted this baby on immediately after. So I'm knitting this. I will put the yarn in the description box because I truthfully cannot remember what it's called, but it's delightful. I really like this little gentle striping that it's kind of got going on. Will that pick up? Anyways, there we go. Look how pretty that is. I really like it. Hopefully it comes back to me there. So today I am, as I mentioned, really happy to just kind of get back into the flow of things. I've admittedly been a little down on myself about YouTube, and I have decided, I've had a bit of like a moment over this past weekend where I was really down about a few videos that I uploaded not getting the kind of views that I wanted, and I just decided I don't want to feel that way anymore. I don't want to like carry this like weight every time I post, or this like intensity of just trying to always come up with the best video. I just want to make things that make me feel good, that I like sharing, and then we'll go from there. And if I am putting out content that feels authentic and genuine and I'm still not enjoying it, then I can reevaluate. But what I noticed I was doing was that I was trying to find videos that would do the best online, that would be the best idea, that would get pickup, that would explode or help grow my channel or whatever. And the thing that I've noticed with that is it just doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel authentic to me. The videos don't end up doing as well as I thought, or even if they do okay, what I'm noticing is that because I put so much effort into them, because they didn't kind of come naturally, I feel really burdened by these videos. They just don't feel good to me because they not only didn't do well, but they maybe weren't the most like authentic sort of content to me. And so I'm really sort of like re-navigating how I want to show up in this space. And it's something that I've been doing for a while across all my social media platforms. So I've been doing the whole Instagram and YouTube and TikTok thing for a few years now, and I've really started to learn how I want to show up online and what kind of online person I want to be, because I love building online communities. I really love talking to people online. I really love exploring connections online and sharing. But if it's not true to me, it feels like harder than my day job. It just feels like so much work. And that's not what I signed up for. I don't need it to be that. It pays me, but it definitely doesn't pay me enough to feel like that. So I mean, nothing pays really to feel like that, especially something that you're electing to do, something that's supposed to be fun. I've been reevaluating how I show up online. I started doing it with Instagram, and I have scaled back on there tremendously. And I'm now starting to think about how I want to show up on YouTube. And where I feel I've really nailed it is with TikTok, because I find that my TikToks are probably the most authentic to me of all the platforms. And that's partly because they're super unscripted. I only film when I want to. I literally just pick up the camera and I'm like, or pick up my phone rather, and I'm just like, hey, here's this idea, and I just talk it out loud. And if they do well, I'm excited, it's fun. If they don't do well, or they just do the same, I'm like, that's cool, and I don't feel mad about it. And I think part of that is because it just feels really natural. They're also short form, so I'm not putting a ton of time into them. Maybe if I put more time into them, I'd be more frustrated. But overall, what I'm noticing is that when I do show up on there just as myself, not tied to results, that's when things kind of go well. And I've been playing with that on YouTube as well with the shorts, taking my TikToks and uploading them to YouTube shorts, and they do really well here. And yet where I've been having the most difficulty is in my long form content, showing up as myself, because I spend so much time on those videos that if they don't do well, it honestly feels personal. I think it just feels personal. I've said to my friends, I feel unloved. I feel kind of hated, even though I know it's not personal. It just always feels like it when you put so much work into something and people don't watch it, or something is just off. And I've been feeling like something has been off with my YouTube channel for a while. I feel like I've been striving and grinding and the results haven't been coming. And I really had to sit down with myself and ask, like, is this something that you want to do? Or is this quits? Is it quits? Because something has to change. And I have genuinely debated this over the past several days, honestly even longer, maybe months. Is this something that brings joy, or is it something that I just need to let fall? And I've decided to keep going with YouTube, but with a bit of a stipulation for myself. I'm going to try to make the content that I want. I'm going to try to depressurize it for myself. And I'm going to try to just slow it down a bit and do it at a pace that feels good for me. I'm going to stop trying to like strive for results. I'm going to just show up as authentically, and I keep saying authentic and it makes it sound inauthentic, but really I just want to show up as me. And I have been learning more and more over the years what that looks like, who that is, especially when she sits in front of the camera and has her lights set up and all of that stuff. Like, who is this girl? Like, who's Cassie and what value does she bring? And I think my value is in my perspective. It's in the things I share. It's in the community I'm able to build. It's in my empathy and just my perspective on the world. And that's all I need to bring. That's really all I need to bring, and I need to remember that because I have built this wonderful community of over 12,000 people. Crazy. It's still so much, and yet here I was just getting so down on myself. But this community of people who are interested in what I have to say, who are interested in what I put out into the world, and that's not nothing. That is so much. When anyone shows up to show up for me, when anyone clicks into my channel, when anyone watches any of my videos, that is still so much. That is still someone taking their time out of their day to see what I have to say, and I'm done taking that for granted. And I really am feeling urged to think about how I show up here in a different way. And so I want to just keep trying to make videos that make me feel happy. Genuinely, I love these kind of knit and chats. I find them so fun to watch. I love to consume this kind of content as well. I love to just put people on YouTube and watch and knit or sew and have them in the background. It kind of feels like chatting with a friend. And all I've ever wanted is just to chat with a friend about sewing and knitting and DIY and making things. And so that is what we're going for here. It's just those vibes of having a little chat with a bestie, having a little chat with Cassie, having a little chat with anyone who is wanting to sit down and talk to me, or sit down and listen to me talk about maybe things that they like. I just really want this space to feel safe for me, safe for other people, comfy, and I'm really tired of feeling stressed about it. I'm really tired of putting in work and grinding and not feeling happy with my own results because maybe the video wasn't the right video in the first place. Like maybe I was just really grinding towards something that didn't feel good. And so we're going for feel good content here. That's, I think, the plan. I have tried to reinvent this channel a few times. I've talked about it here. I've made videos about it. I've tried to come up with a strategy, and I think the strategy is just feel good stuff, feel good content, feel good crafting and chatting, and just going back to the basics of what I like to make, because I think that when I'm having fun, and I used to like kind of get annoyed at these comments and they're like, make what you like and the views will come, and I'll be like, that's not true, you need a strategy. Because that's where my marketing brain comes in. It's like, you need a strategy. But the thing is, like, this is a business, but I'm not a business. I'm a person. And when you're the one person making and ideating and coming up with the plan and showing up, it can be so wearing and tearing, and I have never wanted the space to be that. I always wanted it to be a safe place, and it wasn't becoming a safe place to me, so I'm figuring it out how to make it be a safe place. So what does that mean in terms of the type of videos that I'm putting out? Well, it means things aren't going to change all that much, but maybe you'll see some like older formats. Maybe you'll see more of like this kind of knit and chat stuff. I've really liked sharing more of the process of making things. Like I made my like zero waste video recently, making a zero waste top. I loved making that video. I genuinely had a really fun time with it. That's kind of more what I want to do. I also want to explore a bit of like vlogging. I've had a few requests of like vlogging around Montreal, taking you guys to my favorite places, going on thrift trips, just exploring the city, showing a crafty day in my life, that kind of thing. And so I think if I'm feeling up to it, I'm gonna try to just film the stuff that I like doing and compile that footage and see where that goes, and just be a little bit lighter about it. Of course, strategy will always be in my head, but I'm gonna try to not like grip onto it as much. I'm gonna try to just have fun, and I find that when I just let go, the ideas come a bit more naturally anyways. That's what I've been doing with TikTok. I've been posting on TikTok every day almost, and the ideas just come. They're just like, oh hey, here's an idea I have, and I just say it to the camera, and sometimes nobody sees it, and sometimes 10,000 people see it, or whatever it ends up being. And that's kind of what I want to approach it like with YouTube. The thing is, with longer form content, it does almost feel like you have more to lose because you wasted more time. But I don't want to think about it like that anymore, because if I'm having fun, it's not a waste of time. And I really just want to get back to that. So that is the plan for this going forward, is just to ease up on myself a bit, be a bit more gentle, be a little softer, and stop trying to like just squeeze out the results and see what happens when I take a little bit more of a laid back approach. And that's kind of where I have been at with like my general sort of like influencer content creator frame of mind. I definitely was trying to squeeze more out of this little like side hustle, this little like side job at first, to see like how much money I could make from it, to see if it was possible to like make a living off of it. And I was just finding that the hustle of it was just feeling a bit intense, to be honest. I was feeling like really burnt out by just constantly trying to like get affiliate links and click this and doing partnerships for very little money. And so I have kind of started to reframe how I take on partnerships, and I've also started to think about how much I want to even do collaborations with brands. Like, I'm very open to doing the right partnership, but it has to really check the right boxes. I'm more interested in doing partnerships with people. I really want to try to do some interviews on here. I love talking to people about crafts. That's what it's all about, is just talking about these things I love doing. And so I really want to do some interviews. I really want to collaborate with other creators in this realm. If you're a creator who makes kind of content like this, like, let's work together, let's collab. Like, please message me on Instagram or one of my DMs. I don't know, email me. I would really love to collaborate with some creators. I think that's just so fun, and I've seen a lot of really cool content come out of those kind of collaborations. So I really would love to do that going forward. And again, I'm open to the right brand partnership, but I am sort of picky now about the partnerships that I take and the free stuff that I receive. One thing about free stuff is I have learned more and more that it's not really free, and it usually comes with a whole laundry list of things that the brand wants you to do. I've been really picky about anything that I accept, because usually they want a lot for it. And like, don't get me wrong, being offered free yarn, free fabric, free whatever in exchange for a post may not seem like a lot, and I used to be willing to do it, but it just becomes so much work, because in this space in particular, you're not just accepting, like, you can't just be like, oh, look at this yarn whenever you're working on a collaboration. Like, they want you to show what you make with it. And that takes so much work. It's so much work to not do it's so much work to do for free. And, you know, I understand the argument that, oh, like, but then you get a free project or whatever. But then you have to be really strategic about the collaborations that you take, because it has to be a project that you want to cast on immediately. It has to be a project that you can finish quickly in the time frame. It has to be a project that you are able to like get the deliverables. So not only are you making the thing, but you're also making content around it. That's time consuming. That slows down everything. And then it needs to get approval from the brand, and it also has to really appear authentic, because if it doesn't, your audience can tell. And so it just had started to feel like so much, where I was taking on collaborations and projects. And I did feel comfortable doing it for yarn or doing it for fabric for a while, but then brands started to ask for blog posts, or they started to ask for multiple posts, and the timeline started to get tighter, and the money started to show up, but maybe it was like not a lot for completing a sweater in a certain time frame. And I'm like, hey, that's a whole sweater. That takes me a long time, and I also have to film it while I'm doing all of this. So it's like it really tested my it really tested me, and it really showed me, it just really showed me what I was willing and not willing to do, to be honest. It showed me where my boundaries were and what was important to me. And having free yarn, having free fabric, having free things stopped being important to me, because it was coming at the cost of some of the things that I wanted to make. I was making things for projects and not making things because I wanted to make them. And that was never how I wanted things to be. And so while I have been like really grateful for all of the brand partnerships that I've taken, I have stopped taking a lot of them. I have really become picky about who I work with, because it all comes back to authenticity for me. Like, I don't want to shove anything down anyone's throats. I don't want to ever feel obliged to post something that I haven't personally tried out and believe in. And so I've become really, I would say, stingy about the brands I decide to work with. And so I would say I've become a bit like picky, but I've also just started to realize that like getting free things, it just creates a bit of a clutter in my space. It creates a bit of a clutter in my brain, because then I have to be like, oh, do I want to talk about this? I would rather just like be mindful with what I bring into my space, be mindful about the projects that I choose, and really think about them more. The thing with like getting free stuff is I found that I was becoming a little less mindful of stuff that I was bringing in, and I was ending up with things that I didn't love. And that's just not how that's not like the kind of consumer I want to be, whether it's free or not. Like, I just want to be mindful about the projects that I choose. I want to be really considerate, because it takes so much time that it's just not worth it if it's not something that I'm excited about. And that's kind of the approach I'm trying to take, is just this radical authenticity, this like showing up for myself, for constantly checking in with me to be like, hey, is this what you want? Is this like who you are? Does this feel right? Does it feel good? Does this feel like you can come home to it? Does this feel like you can look back at this in a few months and be like, yeah, that was a good choice? Or are you going to come back to it and be like, you know what, maybe we didn't need to take that on. Maybe the money felt like the thing at the time. Maybe it felt good to get $150 or $200 for this post, but at what cost? Like, do I wear the thing? Do I use it? Do I care about it? Is it something that I'm going to reach for again? Do I like the brand? Do I like the product? Like, at what cost is like that, you know, that money coming at? And that's kind of the approach I've been having with YouTube as well, where I've just been considering the cost a bit more. Because if it's something that I'm going to be stressed about, if it's something I'm going to be down about, and if it's something that's just going to be a burden and isn't going to feel good, then why am I showing up here week after week? Who's going to want to watch that? And I think viewers are really intelligent, and I think viewers can really tell when you're not showing up as yourself. And I can tell when I'm not showing up as myself because the videos don't do as well, or I don't feel as good editing them. I don't feel as good making them. I'm like editing these videos and I'm like, something isn't off, like I can't make this work. And that's when I know that it's just not right. And that was what I was starting to feel in the lead up to this video. I was just feeling like something wasn't right. And I finally had this moment of things clicking into place. and just looking back at my old content, looking back at even videos from a few months ago and being like, oh, hey, like that was the right track. Looking back at videos and being like, oh yeah, like I love that video. That video feels so real. That video feels so true to you. And maybe it didn't get all the views in the world, but it was nice. It was fun to make. It felt authentic. I wanted to share it. I think I have to kind of start to hold myself up as like my own compass, look at my content, look at the stuff that I know makes me feel good, and use that as like the North Star and be like, does this give you that feeling? Does this make me feel anxious, or does this make me feel good? Is this something that I feel proud of, or is this something I'm just trying to chase results with? Like, what is the motive here? And I think there will always be moments of trial and error of like, you know, maybe having an idea that was inspired by something viral and seeing how it does, and then, you know, scaling it back and going back and forth. But I want the back and forth to be less of a intense divide. I want the back and forth to be more like a gentle volley, like yes, no, like, and I want to be hitting like the right more than the wrong. And I don't want to be chasing anymore. I just want to be along for the ride, because like what this whole thing was supposed to be was just a ride. It was supposed to be fun. It was supposed to be playful. It was supposed to be to meet people. And I did meet so many people, and I continue to. And it's a space that I want to grow and make into a community that is sustainable, but it's not going to grow if I'm not being myself. Or if it is growing and I'm not being myself, then I'm leading people into something that doesn't really make sense long term, that isn't sustainable long term, because I can't keep up that facade. Clearly, I had like a little meltdown just a few days ago. And I remember even then wanting to post a video right as I was going through this, and I just knew I needed to take a bit of time, and so I did. And I'm happy that I landed here, because I hope you can feel the like calm that I feel. I hope that it resonates, because I feel so much more at ease today. So I listened to this podcast recently from Mel Robbins, and it had this moment of just clicking things into place for me, where Mel talks about confidence and how confidence isn't something that you are born with. It is a skill, and it comes from doing things. Confidence is an action. It comes from doing things repeatedly. It comes from showing up. It comes from vulnerability and just putting yourself out there and just showing up for yourself and being brave. It's courageous, and it's not always as pretty as you think it is. Confidence isn't the loudest person in the room. Sometimes it's the quietest. Sometimes it's knowing when to keep quiet and to listen. And sometimes it's knowing, like I said, when to put down the camera, knowing when to take a break, knowing when to pivot and shift gears. And sometimes confidence is going backwards, recognizing that you took things in one direction a little too far and going back. And I really loved the podcast, and I felt really inspired and encouraged by it. And it inspired me to make this video, because I had been wanting, like I said, to make this kind of content for a while, and I had been putting it off. And so I'm happy to be back here in my sort of comfy place of just chatting to the camera, making the content I want, making the content that I like to watch, because that's kind of what it's all about. And so I wanted to say thank you for being here, and if you want to watch more knit chats, I'll put some right here for you. I'll make a little playlist of them. And if you aren't subscribed yet and you would like to, then this is going to be where you're going to click to subscribe. And I really would love to have you along for the ride, because I think it's going to be really nice from here on out. I think it's been really nice so far, but it just feels good. Like, doesn't this feel good? I feel really nice. I'm happy that I got to have a bit of a pep talk with myself, a little pep talk with you, maybe. And I'm feeling really ready for this next season online, this next season of YouTube. I mentioned I would love to collaborate with other creators, so please do email me or send me a DM. Instagram is usually a good place to DM me. I would also love to just chat with you guys in the comments. I would love to know what you think. And I really appreciate that you're here. So thank you for letting me work through some stuff, because being an internet person is so fun, but it can be really challenging. And if you're someone who is naturally prone to overthinking, is a bit of an anxious human being, who's a bit of a people pleaser, and who also holds herself to high standards, then maybe you'll understand why this has been such a mental battle for me. I just care about it so much, and when I care about things, I go hard, and sometimes I just need to soften a bit, and so that's what we're doing. We're softening. So thank you again, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.